And the boys are back after a week off to take a shower from all the muck that is the What Everybody podcast. What Everybody Wednesday is once again upon us. On today's episode, Ryan can't wake up. He was told not to watch late night TV. Meanwhile, Jonny wants to talk some David Lee Roth. They both want to throw up in their mouth at the sight of R. Kelly, scumbag. And later, from across the pond in Birminghan, United Kingdom, Ben Taylor, bass player from the band Last Hounds. So now, you know the drill. Grab the closest fire extinguisher, your favorite adult beverage, a ball gag, and once again welcome Ryan and Jonny. All right. Okay.
The reason I told you to put the shirt on is because if you put it on later, it's gonna look weird, like you're playing up.
Hello, everybody. I just want to welcome you to another episode of the What Everybody podcast. Ryan is coming hot today. Ryan is cranky today, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. I was cranky when I got here because of Bank of America. We'll get to that. But right now, Ryan Harris cannot wake up. He's bitching and complaining. Yeah. He's worried about the lights. He's worried about my sweatshirt coming on too late. He's worried about my hair being too much to the left. Harris, good morning, bro. And tell us what's going on today.
Listen, bro, first of all, good morning, and I'm not cranky with you, okay? Second of all, I could give a shit about your hair.
Thanks.
And third of all, the only reason I told you to wear that...
Well, actually, that hurts. What do you mean you give a shit about my hair? My hair's wonderful.
Well, I didn't mean it like that. And the reason I told you to put that shirt on is because it's our guest coming up later, and it'd be weird if you put it on like halfway through what we're doing. I don't know. That's weird to me.
Well, I kind of thought like
wardrobe change.
It would be a little.
Hey, bro, what are you in the Rolling Stones? Are you gonna wardrobe change halfway through?
What? You don't recognize my green room here? I mean, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Yeah. So Ryan, you're tired today. You said something about Entourage, watching too much Entourage last night.
Yeah, I watched too much TV last night, which resulted in me going to bed too late, which resulted in it being hard for me to get up this morning. And the reason that I went down, the reason that I went down that TV rabbit hole is I was watching Entourage, and they filmed the intro, like they drive past where I used to live, and I got nostalgic. Okay. It's like watching Californication.
That's the problem.
On Sunset.
Californication, by the way, is an amazing show. I will say this, and Ryan and I were briefly talking before we got on here about how the fact that Ryan, during the pandemic, went back to where he, owns a home back in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area.
Oh, this is mine.
I've got to say, for those who have never lived in Los Angeles or a warm climate environment, there is something to waking up to palm trees every day. There is something about just, the stress and the strain, as crazy as Los Angeles is, and as the 10 million people in Los Angeles County, there's just something about having those palm trees when you wake up. You know what I mean?
That's
your
not
old place,
me,
you used to wake up, you used to have your pool there and stuff.
That's not it. That's not it for me, though. Like, what it is like the weather is awesome here. I love the weather here. And I could really, if I'm being honest, give a shit about the beach.
Yeah, me too. I hate sand. I hate sand, but I want to live by the ocean.
Your point's right. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm coming in very hot. I think I'm trying to pull myself out of the tired. But for me, it's more about just whichever way it goes. If you're in Los Angeles, at least you're in the right place.
I think, and it goes back to something that you and I have touched base on many, many times in this podcast, which is that feeling of relief of at least I never have to look back and say, if only I would have. I'll tell you, though, I'll be honest with you. I was just back for Hugh's funeral back in Philly a couple of weeks back, and I got to say that I miss my neck of the woods that I grew up in, and my ultimate goal is to be bi-coastal, have fucking a place in Philly and have a place in L.A.
That's the best way in my mind to be, and that's how I was. I went back and forth.
Now you're just East Coast guy. Are you going to come back? I mean, let the people want to know. Are you going to end up back in LA or no?
I don't understand the world right now, Jonny. This is straight up honest. Do I wish I was there? Do I wish I was there? Yeah. Am I happy that I'm here? Yeah. What's next?
Maybe what you do is you make the plan like you did last time. In January of this coming year, you're like, okay, I'm going to save all my money till January, and then come January, I'm fucking moving back. You want to get out of there in January. It's going to be fucking cold.
Like you said, dude, coming back to it, if I were to give you the best answer that I could right now, I want to be bi-coastal.
Absolutely. So you're already one coast. Now you just got to add the other coast. Dude, you know what you missed the other day here in L.A.? You missed an effing thunderstorm. It was amazing. And it wasn't just like one thing of thunder. It was like it lasted. I was taking a nap in the middle of the afternoon like I like to do, sleep. And I woke up and I'm like, did I just hear thunder? And then I went out and then I saw lightning and then I heard thunder again. And then I missed that first part of the rainstorm. I went to the rehearsal room. I hit drums for 4 hours. I came back literally within 20 minutes after I came back. I saw the lightning and the thunder. And I went outside, and no lie, I stood outside on the sidewalk in the rain, getting rained upon, just to experience a thunder. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Those are the things I miss about the East Coast. I miss the snowstorm, I miss the thunderstorm, and I miss the seasons changing. What I don't miss about the East Coast is those snowstorms that happen. When it's not snowing, it's completely effing cold. I'm not down with that. You got to start your car 20 minutes before you leave. And then in the summer, it's super effing humid, and I hate that. So you come to LA, and it's like springtime all year long, 365 days a year.
LA's not built for weather.
No,
it's not built for weather.
Dude, my street floods. Like it, and when I say it floods, but just at a normal rainfall. Like, we're not talking like you got a hurricane and I got a flooded street. Yeah. We're talking it rained for 10 minutes and like now I got to walk on the guy's bumper to get across the huge puddle that's just there on the side of the road. It gets flooded.
Why does the drainage not work? Because there's
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, you once said to me, what made me think of this is that there was water in the LA River. And for those who don't know, there's never, ever water in the LA River. It's just like a cement thing. So I just want to say
please explain to the people the LA River.
Well, it's not a river. It's like you got two walls of cement and then a flat floor of cement. And then if there should ever be any kind of rainfall, then it fills up with water. But
it's from Terminator. Anybody that's seen the movie Terminator, where he drives that car and it crashes down in that little. That's the LA River. Have you ever seen the movie Grease? Have you ever seen the movie Grease? They drag race on the LA River. You know, that's where they're drag racing. So here's the thing. There's almost what we get like 10 days of rain in a year. So there's almost never any water in the LA River. So one day we are on tour, and this is one of my favorite things that Ryan Harris ever said to me. We're driving somewhere in America, right down the good old freeways of America, and Ryan Harris goes, you know what this reminds me of? I'm like, what's that? He's like, the good old days on the LA River. It's just the fucking freeway. Because that's what the LA River looks like. It's a river with no water. It's so bizarre to me.
It's so bizarre. I do want to say this. I had a rough morning this morning. We're running a little bit late. This was going to be the rant of the morning, but we had a rant from Ryan Harris. We had to take it. So now I'm just going to complain.
We're unscripted, baby, and we're self-employed. We could do this whenever we want.
Whenever we want. So last night before I go to bed, I'm expecting money from some music gigs coming in at midnight. So I also had written my rent check.
Getting paid.
Yeah, I also wrote my rent check. I didn't want to transfer any money out of my savings or anything into my checking account. So I went on at midnight to make sure my money showed up on time. And it did. It showed up on time. I had more than enough money to cover my rent check. So I wake up this morning. All good so far. I wake up this morning and I go onto my bank account. Now I have my checking and one of my savings accounts hooked up, where I used my debit card, and whatever I do, they take the change, they round it up to the next dollar, and they put that excess change into my savings account.
You really are Rain Man, dude.
Yeah. So I get back onto my account this morning, and I noticed that my rent check came out. I'm like, oh, cool, and I still have money left over in that account because I only use that account to pay my bills, and but then I go on and I look at just the details of my account, and I noticed that the keep the change, the thing that's supposed to send my money over, the leftover roundup goes to the savings account. I noticed it says 0 insufficient funds. I'm like, whoa, daddy. So I scroll down, and I notice at some point after I checked, now you got to keep this in mind. I'm on the West Coast. I checked my bank account at 12:15 Pacific Standard Time. Bank of America runs on East Coast time, so we're talking 3:15 a.m. On the East Coast. I have no overdraft. My rent check hasn't gone through yet, but then I wake up 5 hours later and I find out that not only did my rent check go through, but there's a $35 fee. Now, I'm really irritated because this is a double whammy of annoyance. A, how is it that I log in today and it's fine, but log in 5 hours later and there's a check that comes in from the day before? It says October 5th, comes in the day before, but yet somehow overdrafts my account. There's that. So they charge me $35 for that. But here's the caveat. On top of that, if I was, hypothetically effing speaking, was to overdraft, which I'm really good at not doing, okay, mind you, the way my accounts are set up is the same account that gets the extras, round up, gets the extra change, that's the account that's hooked up to my checking account. So therefore, if there should be an overdraft, they just cover it with my savings account money, and instead of charging me $35, they're only supposed to charge me $10. That's what happened when I signed up for this
I fell
account.
asleep for a second there because I could give a shit about 35 cents. Just get $35,
dude. $35.
Listen, we get it. You got cash. You got paid.
To make a long story short, they charged me this overdraft when they shouldn't have. I was late today because I had to call Bank of America, sit on hold for 45 minutes to get somebody on the phone, explain this whole thing, and just like I should have, I got my $35 back.
Do you know how many people don't go through that hassle? And they're like $35, whatever. And Bank of America makes $35 times all those people that don't want the hassle.
Let's say they have millions of customers. So let's say 1,000 customers a day do that. They have just brought in $35,000 a day for people's pure ass laziness. Yeah. Was I late today? Did I know it could potentially annoy Ryan Harris that I was late by an hour? Yeah, very much so. But you know what? Principle. As Jonny Karen is like Ryan likes to say, as Jonny likes to do it, it's all about principle, and I'll sit there and I'll fucking put up the fight for the effing principle, and I got my $35 back, so I am not one of those people who was too lazy. I almost was, but I wasn't. I was like, I'm going to be late. Well, I'm kind of hungry. I want to stop and get some food on the way. I sacrificed my food this morning so I could be here an hour late instead of an hour and 15 minutes late so I can get my $35 back. Bitches.
Well, I must have subconsciously picked up on those positive vibes because I'm not in the least bit annoyed right now.
I know, and you know what? I came in thinking, oh God, I got the best opening rant today, and then Ryan Harris, I had to give it to him because his was more genuinely like ranty, cranky, ranty. It's the same thing. Did I just come up with a new word?
Ranty? I think that's
ranty.
Ranty. That's probably a word. I don't know, dude. I didn't even feel like I was ranting. I just felt like I was...
Ryan was just venting, and that's when I said, just start recording everything and get this down because this is entertaining shit to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're not upset. I'm glad, you're just tired.
Dude.
You got to get yourself some of this coffee stuff that I have. They call it coffee, also known as Java, backwards of vag. And,
Still on the coffee, buddy. Still on the coffee.
Got to do it, bud. I got to say that, over the last couple of months, we've started to really see what the casualties of rock and roll are.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
people.
We're losing people. Some people die at the age they're supposed to, like Charlie Watts, Rolling Stones. Somehow he made it to 80. That's amazing.
Legend.
Keith Richards, still alive, falling out of coconut trees and shit, and the guy's still fucking kicking.
I just saw them the other day. the other day. Dude. They haven't missed a beat. Mick Jagger is 78 years old, like bands half his age. Hold my beer. They're amazing.
It's crazy. Like Shannon Hoon, he dies on on tour in the tour bus. What's that other band? They sold his tour bus after he died, and one of those other bands. But the Rolling Stones are legitimately one of those bands that if somebody died on the road, they'd be like, oh, well, he was 78 and he did pass in his sleep peacefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
But where I was going with this, though, they're not really the casualties of rock. They're actually kind of like the
exception of the
what's
rule.
that? Yeah, but they're the what would a queen be? What would you call a queen or a king? They would be the royalty. They're the royalty of rock and roll.
The pinnacle? They're the pinnacle.
The pinnacle royalty of rock and roll Stones. But we've lost, in one day a couple of months ago, in the same day, the guitar player of Cinderella and Cinderella's touring keyboard player both died in the same day.
Eddie Van Halen?
Eddie Van Halen died. Which, it's funny you bring up Eddie, because basically I'm saying all this to get to a segue of David Lee Roth's retirement. David Lee Roth released a statement the other day. I'm sure a lot of you people have heard it already or have heard about it. But he's sending like some subliminal messages. I don't even know how subliminal it is. They're just like messages under the surface. So basically, I think he's saying he's dying or something. Like, I don't understand.
It sounded something like that. Let's play it.
Let's play it. Let the people fucking, get their own, appreciation of this. I love David Lee Roth. I just got to say, I love David Lee Roth. When I was a kid, great fucking side note story. We went to go see Eat 'Em and Smile, which was David Lee Roth's first solo record after he left Van Halen with Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan, and Greg Bissonette as his band. Yankee Rose is a song. And I went with my buddy Chad. And back in the day, there weren't cell phones. So we used to have to sneak in cameras, like those portable cameras, and like portable tape players if we wanted to fucking tape shit. And Chad, for whatever reason, he's like, I'll take the camera. You take the tape recorder. I'm like, well, I don't want to take the tape recorder. You take the tape recorder. No, you take it. And me being the little bitch, I took the tape recorder. And to this day, Chad still has that recording. But I'll remember that.
Here's the video.
And I'm running up here today with the departure of my beloved classmate recently, Ed. Al and I have been talking. I can't speak for him just yet. I just spoke to him. He knows everything I'm about to tell you. I am encouraged and compelled to really come to grips with how short, and probably my time is even shorter. I thought I might go first, frankly. I might have thought the Marlboro Man might have got me. Hey, Ed, objects in the rearview mirror are probably me. And my doctors, my handlers compel me to really address that every time I go on that stage, I endanger that future. I know when I sit in the audience, all I ask, you come out with a ukulele or a marching band, all I ask is that you give me everything you got to give. That's what I did for the last 50 years. And I'm throwing in the shoes. I'm retiring. And this is the first and only official announcement. Al, my handlers, you got the news. You share it with the world. I'm not going to explain a statement. The explanation is in the statement. These are my last 5 shows. I got a band that's doing what Al and I used to call a block. That means 75 rehearsals for 1 show. The warm-up for 1 somersault is the same for 10. So we're going to bring it in classic VH style. Alex and I are the only version. That was his message. There is no other variation. There is no torch being passed. There is no other side of this heads-up tail coin. This is classic, in-your-face Van Halen, and we're going to be playing to you for the rest of your time and your great-grandchildren's. Gave you all I had to give. It's been an amazing, great run. No regrets, nothing to say about anybody. I miss y'all. Stay frosty.
That's some intense stuff. It's kind of sad. He said that the explanation was in the statement that he just gave. So basically what I took from there is...
There's 4 or 5 references to death.
My doctors and handlers told me that I jeopardized whatever by getting there. The fact that he's got doctors telling him things, the fact that he said, hey, Eddie, that thing you see in the rearview mirror is probably me. The fact that he said... this time on this earth is short and mine is even shorter, which can be taken a couple of ways just because he's an older guy and he could just...
Well, it's vague. It is vague, but I mean, there's a solid 4 or 5 references to like death or the end.
Well, so what do you think is the case with that?
I love David Lee Roth because he's so unique. He's not easy to understand. I'm thrown in the shoes, stay frosty. Like, he's just a character. I think that generation is just, it's not aging well. Like those dudes that lived that party life in the 80s and I guess 90s as well. Like now they're getting to the age where I think it's coming back at them,
Well, that's, I started this all by saying that we're starting to see the casualties of it all. Like Eddie Van Halen, he died, he was in his 60s. Like here's what we're learning. We're learning that if you live that lifestyle, you're probably not going to be the guy who lives to 100 unless you're Keith Richards.
Yeah.
And in which case, well, he's so rich. Who knows what you can buy when you have that kind of money? You know what I mean? Like, you definitely can probably buy yourself a few more years.
Vitamin drips and
all sorts of shit, you know. But let's not get all negative here. Let's have some fun with the David Lee Roth stuff.
Roth's a character, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's
like the way that he talks. He's like quotable. Stay frosty.
Did you get the impression from that in these last 5 shows, Alex Van Halen is going to be playing drums? Because that was the impression. That's the impression I got.
Also, dude, what did these guys have against Michael Anthony? He's not even mentioned.
I don't know what their beef is. Maybe because he went and played with Sammy all these years. You know, maybe.
It's never been explained. So why would we speculate?
He's classic. Oh, well, I just want to say to wrap it up, Dave, we hope you're okay. We hope. This is the one thing that has been driving me crazy. All these famous people are announcing they're sick or this, that, like the Mark Hoppus from Blink-182, who is now cancer-free. Thank God.
That's fantastic.
That is fantastic. But here's the thing: stage 4 cancer. What kind of cancer did he have? We don't know.
I don't know.
So and so died. It hasn't been announced how they died.
Did you hear about R. Kelly?
You mean that? Talk about scumbags. Here we go. Let's bring this guy on. What we got
okay, so he finally got sentenced to 10 years to life in prison.
No. He didn't get sentenced that yet. That's what it's looking like. I mean, dude, if he gets 10 years, that means he could be out in like 4. Make a long story short, R. Kelly, for years, he's beaten case after case after case. He's beaten cases by paying off jury members, by making settlements with the victims outside of court, all sorts of stuff that has kept him out of jail. He has more or less been violating underage girls, locking them in his house, treating them in the worst possible way one can treat them.
It was like that victim mentality. Like they didn't turn him in because
he would blackmail them. He would say, "If you turn me in, I'm gonna release these pictures of you doing this on the internet."
And then if that didn't work, he would like physically threaten them, like send like muscle,
Dude, he would do crazy shit. He had one of the girls eat her own poop. And then he took a picture of it and told her that if you say anything, I'm going to release this online.
Is that true?
Yeah. That happened. That came out in the trial.
Did you ever see that video of him from Ethiopia?
No, to be honest with you, the only R. Kelly thing that I've ever seen is that Escaping R. Kelly thing. I don't know any of his songs. I don't know anything about him except that I know he's a scumbag. I Believe I Can
Fly. Everybody knows I Believe I Can Fly. But also, just watch this video. This is actual live R. Kelly footage from Ethiopia, 2011.
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America? America. Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America? America. America. Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Who wants to come back with us to America? To America.
He ain't going to be.
That is cringeworthy.
He ain't going to be seeing a stage ever again. He's pissed away his
cringeworthy.
Life, and that is disgusting.
So degrading too. Like Did you get your
shots? What shots is he referring to?
It's so degrading. It's just, I don't even know. That alone is like incriminating enough to believe at least half of what the accusations are to me. You know what I mean?
All I could think about while we were listening to that was, how is it that you What, are you going to take a line of girls after you make that comment and go through that line of girls and be like, all right, I'll take you, I'll take you, I'll take you.
What do you think, dude? Dude, imagine being in his band.
I mean, I'm
you
sure
heard
they're
he
just
had
hired
backup
guys.
He had backup singers singing that. Well, sure, they're hired guys, and I mean, it's
they had
probably
backup singer girl. The girls were going to America. You know,
I know.
like they were like in on it.
It's so cringeworthy.
Very creepy. All right, buddy. Well, let's get ready for Ben Taylor's coming up in the next couple of minutes, and everybody, I will tell you when Ben gets here, I'll explain the story of how Ben and I have met. But I'll tell you that I love this man. I think he's one of the best people I know in this world to this day. And hang in there. Here comes Ben Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. From Birminghan, United Kingdom, bass player of the Last Hounds, Ben Taylor. Hello, Ben. Welcome. Thank you for joining Ryan and I. Ben, this is Ryan. Ryan, this is
What's up,
Ben.
man? Good to meet you. I've heard good things.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard a lot of things.
I was lying. I was completely lying. I didn't tell him about the farm animals yet, though, but I will. I will get to that.
Jonny has a broner for you, man. A bro boner for you.
Yeah, no, like, seriously, here's a quick rundown. I've met Ben when Ben's band, the Last Hounds, which I'm Last Hounds, and it says on the arm to represent, which
Representing.
I'm doing. So Mikey and the boys, I'm representing, and Ben, even though you're wearing a shirt that says I hate you, I know that's endearing out of love and everything.
Yeah, it's pure love.
So I met Ben when his band, the Last Hounds, was opening up for Bullets and Octane when I was in Bullets and Octane. We did a tour in July of 2018 together, and then again, we did another tour together in May of 2019, both in the United Kingdom. For whatever reason, I love all the guys in the band. If I see them, we say hi. It's awesome, but Ben and I, somehow, we just connected, and it's pretty amazing. What's crazy is Ben's from Birmingham, and I've met I have a couple of really great friends, and two of my great friends who are really at the top of that list, they are both from Birmingham. So I guess there must be something in the water somehow. Anyway, Ben, hello. Say hello to everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Jonny, you always try and replicate my accent. Whenever I speak, you're like, hello.
It's an ignorant American thing.
I did the same thing with Ian. Hello.
Hello, Ian.
Yeah. Hello, Ben.
Sound like you're from like medieval England. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I imagine it sounds like. But I guess what's the difference between England and medieval England?
I mean, being not a lot really. Yeah, just more horses. I think more chainmail and horses. Other than that, not a lot.
Yeah. So Last Hounds, they're a band. I guess if you had to describe the Last Hounds, how would you describe that to the people?
Yeah, I think as a band we're pretty pissed off at the world. So I think if you were to put a load of musicians into a room with guitars and drums and loud noises, I think that you kind of get the gist of what we're doing. It's just aggressive, it's loud, it's just balls out punk. I think that's the best way to describe it.
I'm amazed that I've never learned this, being that we talk all the time. But did you guys grow up together? You guys in the band, like how do you guys know each other in the band? Exactly.
So there's a couple of different stories between. So I think it was Mike, frontman, James, guitarist, and Chris. How did I forget Chris? So those three, that they all went to college together. So I did music at college and started a band. It was like under a different name, and they're all they sort of like
same kind of music.
Yeah, very similar. And so then that sort of like disbanded in a sense. I think they all just sort of grew up a little bit. I think Mike went off to do a bit of traveling, and then he came back, and then he said to Chris, "He's like, do you want to start another band?" And that's when Chris obviously said yes, and that's when Last Hounds became Last Hounds. And then they decided, well, we need another guitarist, and that's when they found Tom. They sort of knew him from the local scene of being out in the skate parks, and just sort of knew that he played guitar. And they approached him, found him in a pub, and said, "Tom, do you want to come and be in a band?"
That's awesome.
They were Last Hounds for a few years before I actually joined.
Did you know them while they were a band, though?
Yeah, so I used to go to their shows. I was a fan of the band. But I was friends with Chris before joining. I used to work with him, and then they were having problems with one of their older bassists, and like things just weren't working out. And then I kind of like swooped in and said, "Let me play bass."
Yeah,
and I think I don't want to like sound big-headed or anything, but I think since me joining, it kind of felt like this was the lineup. This was like, this works.
Was that the style of music you were playing prior to joining the band? Like, were you like in bands like Last Hounds before Last Hounds?
Yeah. I'd been in a few bands, nothing like overly serious. I think that the problem that I found was trying to find band members that would be committed and actually want to put. I mean, you guys know firsthand the amount of time and commitment it takes. And I think that's why Last Hounds works, is because we're all like we are a band of brothers. Like we all know the work that needs to go in. We're all prepared to make the sacrifices. And I think it was, yes, I'd been in bands like Last Hounds before, but never. I think, like I say, trying to find band members who actually want to put the work in was the problem.
Funny first thought of when the first show, Last Hounds, shows up. I think the first show we did was at the Blackheart in London. And, Bullets was very image conscious. Now, that wasn't my deal, but I joined Bullets. And, when I joined Bullets, I got my honorary leather Bullets and Octane jacket and the mariachi pants that I refused to wear that the other guys did wear and all this other stuff. So it was image conscious. And then these guys show up. They don't give a fuck. They're wearing board shorts. They're wearing Vans. And then you're like, all right, okay. Then they get on stage, and there's nothing you can say because it's sort of like they just kick you in the face.
I got a little bit of a Rage Against the Machine vibe. Would you think of that as accurate, or is that not really what you're going for?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, so for us, like, I mean, we all like Rage Against the Machine. Like, our sort of music taste as a band is so diverse, and I think the way in which we write music as a band, like we always try and make music that will sort of connect with people, as opposed to sort of trying to like pick a genre. We'll always sort of, if we can write music that someone will listen to and go, I can connect with that, I can really associate with it. And I think because of that, anyone who listens to us, regardless of what bands they listen to, or they'll always pick out something that sounds like something they know, because it clicks. Like we get Rage Against the Machine, we get Fever, Gallows, and another one we get quite a lot is Linkin Park. Now, I mean, all of us are big fans of Linkin Park, but
I don't see that one.
Yeah, I didn't hear maybe like the chorus.
The chorus.
Yeah, there's a few of the album tracks that obviously isn't out yet, but we've had a few of the choruses on there that a few people have said, like really reminds me of like Hybrid Theory, Meteora era Linkin Park.
When we first met you guys were, you've been a band for a bit, but you guys were still getting your feet wet with the touring and stuff, it seemed like. Now you guys just signed with a label. I just want to say, Venn, is that the name of the label?
Yeah.
It's owned by the guy from Gallows. I always thought your band sounded like Gallows meets the Bronx and stuff. Could you fill us in on what's going on with the band? Because I just want to say that I am fucking so stoked. When you told me that was happening, I was through the moon. I just thought it was the most amazing thing ever, because you guys are hardworking. You guys are great at what you guys do. And then you were able to link up with somebody who knows your style of music, because it's so easy to get lost in a label that would have no idea on what to do with your style of music. And it sounds like a great deal. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, so for me personally, I know Gallows were such a huge influence to me music-wise. Like growing up and going out to shows, I'd always go and see Gallows play. Like as soon as they went on tour, I was there. Festivals, they were just always like a massive influence. And I think since being in Last Hounds and kind of doing the music that we do, it was always, for me, it was like, right, that's the kind of label I want to be on. And it being headed up by Blags, the guitarist of Gallows, I just thought, I have to be on that label.
What's his name? Lags, did you say?
Lags, yeah. That's
Lags.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not
like
as
Johnny's brain lags. Like, all right, just checking.
So yeah, Lags. He's such a great guy to work with as well, because like this record label of his is a real labour of love. Like he does it because he cares. He's putting out music that he likes, and so for us to sort of put the music in front of him and for him to say, yeah, I dig it, I like it.
How did you get the music in front of him?
It was an old manager that we used to work with. I was still friends with him on Facebook. And then I sort of noticed that he changed his job status on Facebook to working as A&R for Venn Records. And I thought, ooh, this is spicy. And so I just sort of like reached out to him and said, oh, yeah, we haven't spoken in years. Like, how's it going? You're good. And then obviously conversations started like turning towards him asking like, oh, how's Last Hounds doing? How are you getting on? I was like, oh, we're just about to put an album out. Do you want to have a listen to this?
Take a listen.
And
that's cool.
Yeah, so I mean, it was timing wise, it was perfect.
When did you sign with them?
About 4 months ago. Yeah, so it's quite a new thing, and like so.
But the record was already finished, though.
Yeah. So we'd already done the album. We kind of said, we'll get it finished, we'll get it to how we want it, and then we'll start trying to put it in front of record labels, and obviously Venn Records are at the top of our list for that. So. I
saw a post from you guys recently about getting good traction in America with streaming. Any plans to come on over?
Absolutely. As soon as we can, we'll be there.
That's great. That's awesome. If this question goes awry and the answer isn't good, Ryan, cut it out, of course. How is it that I played your country before you played your country after the pandemic?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
He didn't want to get COVID, Johnny.
yeah. Look what happened.
Well, yeah. Well, you did have it last year, didn't you? You and the whole family got it.
Yeah. September.
So, check this out. I'm going to get a little personal with the people here. Okay. Ben recently had a baby. I guess a year ago, so roughly 2 years ago now.
Jan 2020.
Now, we've all had friends who have babies, and like there's this thing where like you gotta think all babies are cute, and like unfortunately that isn't the case. Like I know somebody, and I won't say names, and it's nobody close to me, so chances of them listening to this podcast hopefully are slim or zero. And even if they did, they wouldn't know who I'm talking about. But they had a baby, and I thought it was the ugliest fucking baby I've ever seen, and I'm being dead honest here.
Dude.
And, hey, hold on. When did this happen in life that it had to be a thing that because they're a baby, because they're only a couple of months old, couple of weeks old, couple of hours old, that I got to think it's cute? Because it's tiny? I mean, give me an effing fucking break. Reality is there's ugly fucking kids, and that's the way that it goes. And people just don't say it because of reactions like Ryan. Like, geez, dude, like, I know, God forbid you call a kid
I
ugly.
I agree with you, but it's just kind of, it's a baby, you know? Get to your point.
The point is... On the flip side, well, let me finish saying that. Even though you might think the baby is completely ugly, you still say, oh, what a cute baby. And in your mind, you're thinking like, boy, this kid's fucked, right? So, so Ben had a baby. And no lie, and I say this from the bottom of my heart with no bullshit, could be the cutest baby I've ever seen. No lie. I swear to God. And I say that because, it's a cute fucking baby.
I guarantee from that setup, he's sitting there going, he's about to call my kid ugly.
Well, no. See, here's the thing. Ugly kids, ugly babies, right, could grow up to be really good-looking kids, right? Ben's kid, no disrespect, Ben, is a really cute baby. Could grow up to be ugly as fuck. You never know.
You never know. Congratulations on having a cute baby, buddy.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been a challenge, that's for sure. Especially he was born on the eve of a pandemic. He was born in Jan 2020, and then in March 2020, the whole country goes into lockdown.
Right.
So it's just been such a crazy time. But
thank God it was before like that happened. Like, had it been like when the lockdown happened, Well, no, but could you imagine though, like the lockdown happens, the surging in the emergency rooms and the hospitals and all that other stuff,
right.
And then you go into labor. Then what? Like at least it was before like the shit really hit the fan. Like it was there, but had it happened 2 months later, you might not have even been able to get into the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. So he was born in the January. And Last Hounds went on tour. We did like 4 or 5 dates in the February. And then at the start of March, we then went into lockdown. So like you say, we had the normal life sort of birth, and he came into the world, and we could sort of have it was incredible. Like I could be there, and then went out on tour, come back home, and world shut down.
Ben, we play games here, bro. I
like games.
We call it stay the first thing that comes to mind. And basically, we'll throw a bunch of fast questions at you, and the first thing that comes to your mind is what you say. Anyways, here we go with the game. First question, Ben. What was your first impression of me? Go.
I mean, you sound like Hank Scorpio from The Simpsons. And I've told you this before.
You have.
And my first impression was, oh my God, this guy is so American and he sounds like Hank Scorpio.
So American and he sounds like Hank Scorpio. I love it.
And he says hello all the time.
Yeah, and he keeps saying hello back to me in my accent. I think he's going to joust with me any second.
Jonny is an acquired taste. Ben, so you did 2 tours with Jonny's old band Bullets and Octane. What's your first memory of touring with those guys?
I think it was the look on their face when we finished playing our first set, and we kind of it's always that first band, the first show of a tour, sort of nerves when no one in the room knows each other. You're all doing sound check. You're all doing, and then you finish.
Nobody's talking. Everybody's separated.
Yeah. And I think we'd played our set, and then I think it was Jonny and Felipe actually that were the first to come over, and they were like, "Oh my God, like what was that?" And I think it was just that perception of us then versus then sort of, "Oh my God, you're actually really good."
It's like these guys showed up in board shorts and t-shirts and just threw down.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And that was really cool. And it was just like from then on, I think that the rest of the tour was just. It was mayhem.
Okay. My 2 closest friends that I've met on the UK tours are from Birmingham, both you and Ian. So my question to you is, does this mean that I would get along with Ozzy Osbourne?
I mean, there's no reason why you wouldn't. He's a madhead. I think he'd get on with anyone.
Okay. Follow-up question. What about Tony Iommi?
I have his belt.
What?
I bet you weren't expecting that.
I was not expecting. Why do you have his belt?
So my dad used to do removals. He used to help people move house, and being in Birmingham, obviously Tony Iommi, living in Birmingham, he actually helped Tony Iommi move house.
Move house, like move his house from one house to another house?
The contents.
The contents. Oh, right, not the house itself. Right.
Movers.
Well, he said move house. I don't know. This is weird slang. It could mean so many things. Move house to be like, yo, move your fat ass. Who knows what that is?
I want to go there. No, so he helps him move the contents of his house. And it sort of did the job, and Tony was like, I did a really good job. He said, I want to sort of give you something more than just paying you for the job. And he literally got his belt, took it off, and said, "Have this." He said, "It's been on all, loads of world tours, this, that, and the other." And he's like, "Have it." So
that's very cool.
Yes, that's a weird story.
It is. Well, you would think when he first doing that was your dad like, Jesus Christ, I don't want your penis.
Yeah, I feel like money isn't enough here.
I got to give you something else.
It's equal parts of both, because it's like, that was a very nice gesture. And then on the flip side, it's like, what made him think about maybe he wants my belt? Like, what was it,
Well, he probably had everything else packed up, and he had nothing.
Yeah, everything was in boxes.
Yeah. So it's just that's here's my. I mean, that's actually pretty fucking wild. Like, does it say? Is there anything on there that would let you know it's Tony Iommi's belt?
Absolutely not. So that's the. It's only for the fact that it come from my dad, and I believe him. That's the only way.
It could be your dad's belt, technically. Like, he might have been like, I'm just gonna tell Ben Tony Iommi gave this to me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, maybe I would get along with him. He seems like a nice guy. I just thought if Ozzy's cool, Tony just seemed like the uptight guy, and I'm a little eccentric, so I thought maybe I might be a little much for Tony. Because I'd be like, Tony, what happened to your finger? He
doesn't have to. That would have been awesome. That would have been awesome if he was like, instead of the belt, he was like, here, have my finger. he has those little nubs that he uses to play guitar.
Oh, that's fucking weird. Yeah. All right, Doug. Moving on.
I apologize in advance for this question. I don't mean offense by it. But as we just established, your son is a spitting image of you. Is there anyone else that's a spitting image of you, like a mailman or,
Milkman, mail guy.
Yeah. I mean, I have, wherever I go, doesn't matter where in the country, or someone will always say, oh, are you so-and-so, or are you related to so-and-so? I think I've got a really generic face, by all accounts.
So, or just familiar, friendly.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I go with generic.
That was to make up for the rude question.
But it could look like a lot of people based on that.
Okay, so Mikey and Ryan, they're about the same height. Mikey is the lead singer of the Last Hounds. Now, if I'm correct, Mikey's a mixed martial arts kind of guy, correct?
Yeah, he did. He did some weird. I can't even I wouldn't be able to tell you what it was.
So my question is this: Mikey and Ryan are roughly about the same size, and they're both mixed martial arts kind of guys. So if they were to fight, who do you think would win? Mikey versus Ryan?
Versus the guy you just met.
Yeah. Well, I think Mike, right, my reason being, he's like, when you sort of like trap a dog in the corner.
He's got that
room.
Scrappy, yeah.
Yeah, and you strike me as, quite measured, gentlemanly, and I think Mike just doesn't have that about him.
Now, my question to follow up would that be, would he be down that the loser starts an OnlyFans page?
I think you don't have to get Mike to lose a fight for him to do that. I think you'd.
Ben, final question to wrap it up here is.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. Obviously, Ben doesn't know how to wrap it up. He's got a baby. Next.
Jeez, dude. Just insulting the guy.
I'm not insulting him. It's love. It's love. This is.
I was looking forward to this.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask what's coming up with the band. Do you have a lot of exciting things in the future? What's in the horizon?
So I think mentioned briefly earlier, 22nd of October, debut record's coming out. I mean, I can't wait now. We've been sat on it for so long.
Yeah.
So that's coming out 22nd of October. We've got 2 release shows, sort of just purely to celebrate that coming out, doing Birmingham and London, and then we're signing to Marshall.
You told me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You hear about this, Ryan? Tell Ryan about this. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're well excited, but I mean, it's basically a new venture of theirs. They thought, well, we're already sponsoring and working with like all of the major festivals, bands, you name it. Like it's Marshall. So I thought the
amplifiers are now Marshall Amplification.
Yeah. It is Marshall, the amp company, Ryan.
Yeah.
They started a booking agency. Like, how genius is that? It's great.
Yeah, I mean, they already have the brand recognition.
Yeah, it makes absolute sense for them. Like, they're already sponsoring every festival under the sun, and they already have artists use their stuff worldwide, so it makes sense.
That's awesome. You get like I could see the excitement when you're talking about it, which is
yeah.
Are there other bands on the roster? Like, who's on the roster?
There's quite a few, to be fair. I mean, off the top of my head, I couldn't name any. I think it's early doors. But I mean, considering they've been going like 6 months or so, they've got quite a lot on there. But yeah, we're sort of in the first sort of like bunch of new bands with them. So yeah, it's exciting.
That's amazing. That's great. New album, new record deal, new booking agent. There you go. You're off and running. So 2022 should be a very busy year.
It's all planned out, but we're just trying to go everywhere.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Ben, I am so stoked you came and joined us. I'm sorry if I was offensive in any way. I do think you have a beautiful baby. I do think you're the father. I do think that Mikey would kick Ryan's ass, and I do think he'd have a great OnlyFans page. I am October 22nd, get the new Last Hounds album, and they're going to be on tour before you know it, and everybody better go see them, because if you don't, you're definitely missing something. I'll tell you. Ben, I love you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
I love you too, Jonny.
Thanks, buddy.
Nice meeting you.
You too. Take care.
Later, bud. That was awesome that Ben took the time to come see us today. Man, Ben, thank you so much. And everybody else who has listened this week on the What Everybody podcast, I am grateful you were here. Ryan, did you have a good time this week?
Nice to be back.
Nice to be back. I needed to get rid of all the muck, if you know what I'm saying. So until next time, make sure you subscribe on all the places you listen. And if you want to watch, don't forget about the YouTubes. We'll see you next week. Goodbye from the What Everybody podcast.
Stay frosty.